Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is Dearest Mother, Love Ruthie. Ruth Smallshaw Ray's Letters to Her Mother, 1950, Part 52. 2457 Kenilworth Road, Cleveland Heights, Ohio, June 14th, 1950. Dearest Mother and Dad and Bud. This is just a quick note in between reports. I'm trying to get caught up in my paperwork of the Cleveland public school system. They certainly have it all over any other school I've been to, in amount anyway. They must use some of it for polls or tabulation. There's so much. Anyway, I hope to finish before John gets back from golfing. We've an agreement that I'm to try to keep up on my work. Our demonstration was today. I don't like them much. My kiddies weren't as good today as when we rehearsed yesterday. Mama's there today made the difference. Miss Bender said it was good as I came down, but she would anyway. We had the nicest surprise yesterday. One of the teachers has been asking me all year what silver I'm collecting, so she could give me some for my hope chest. When Connie started me on my Dearest, and she asked again, I told her. And yesterday she gave me a parcel not to open until I got home. So I waited until John came and we opened it together. Knife, fork, and spoon. How sweet of her. Today she kidded me that she hoped I'd let him use it part of the time since we only have one setting. Really a nice surprise. I looked for a letter today and will tomorrow too. John keeps asking if we have the go-ahead signal. I go to the hospital Saturday morning at 10:30. I talk to the doctor and he thinks if I feel okay, I may get out Saturday too, so I'm very glad, as that will cut expenses. My, but he's so nice. I'll enclose a clipping about him and also my Sunday school leaflet that I meant to enclose the last time. Just tomorrow and Sunday and we're through school. I'm going to register for summer school tomorrow. Hope to get off my 2 music classes. I'm also enclosing some of the wrappers John works on. He does the color analysis and tries to get the right color. Notice how one is too red, so they lessen the red and deepen the yellow and blue, and then it looks better. To me, it still sounds more fascinating than law. I must get back to work. Love, Ruthie. 2457 Kenilworth Road, Cleveland Heights, Ohio, June 19th, 1950. Dearest Mother, Daddy, and Bud. I guess it's about time I roused myself into action again. Here it is 3 o'clock, and all I've been doing is lying here. It was so nice to find your letters when I came home from the hospital. As a matter of fact, I felt much better then than I have since. However, I'm starting to perk up again. It really wasn't so much, although more than I was expecting. John drove me to the hospital Saturday morning at 10:30, and I was undressed, put to bed, given a hypo, and on the operating table by 11:30, and Dr. Glover cut away until 10 to 1. He was very nice. I just had local anesthetic, so knew all that was going on. I was much more nervous once he started than after the accident. He said I was so tense as a Springer Spaniel ready to take off. I tried to relax, but it wasn't much fun. As the doctor said, not something you'd like to have happen to you every day. It was interesting in that he mentioned some of the facial muscles that I'd had in anatomy of the head and neck course. I told him how easily I had drawn them in last year, only to realize now it wasn't so simple. I also told him how I wondered why they all had to have names. Both doctors laughed and said I wasn't the first to wonder. The zygomen, or zygomaticus in my book, had been cut. Apparently, from the comments of the other doctor, they had to go deeper than expected. He had me wink, so he was sure to sever all that had been connected wrongly. Occasionally he went out of bounds of the local, then I'd get pretty jumpy. So we sewed each layer up and did some plastic work on the scars. He may have to do some more on the nose next fall, if he gets me back then. I have felt worse than at the accident, but expect it's 'cause I've been so busy. But everything will be okay from now on. My eye's black and purple and has been shut again, but he told me to expect it. I'm going to school tomorrow, Tuesday, and to the doctor in the afternoon. John was so swell, waited all those hours in spite of the fact they wouldn't let him come up. The nurses were so nice, too. I came home later in the afternoon. It was such a relief to get school over. John said if he hadn't known all that I had to do, he'd never have believed I could be so busy. Every day for the past 6 weeks has been some sort of a crisis. Wednesday we had our demonstration at school. Miss Bender said my kiddies were good, but I knew that they could do better. I wasn't much in the mood, though. Thursday we worked on reports, and Friday I finally finished up. I'd finished my yearbook at 2 a.m. the night before. We'd gone babysitting, and the baby cried all the time. John had given me my diamond. Oh, it's so beautiful. We'd picked it out, you know, the store and setting, but he'd had the stone doubled in size to my surprise. It's just gorgeous. Everyone at school raved about it. Did I tell you that Miss Dixon gave me a knife, fork, and spoon? That was so sweet of her. One of the teachers said, "Why didn't you tell us before so we could have a party and give you a present?" I told them I thought the teachers had done enough for me. That $64.50 check. Well, anyway, all the pressure is off now. Friday afternoon I went to register for summer school and asked if our marks were in. Mrs. Lawrence said no, but our final reading course exams were in, and I had a marvelous paper. I looked through them. I got 100%. I knew I'd done well, but was just so happy. On a final exam and with not much time to study. I doubt if my other marks are comparable, but that was nice. There was one other 100 too. I'd got 100 in the midterm too. Guess I should be able to teach reading now. It's a graduate course though, and about 40 in the class. Incidentally, it would be nice to have matching rings, but my diamond is set in platinum, and I want the band to match, and I like gold better for men. So, I hope everything works out okay. You never said you'd rather I come home. I was glad to hear the 19th was better, because John's parents favored it too. So we're settled on that. I'd rather have Reverend Robinson marry us if at all convenient. Didn't he marry Bonnie too? Incidentally, the card I enclosed last time from Doran, Gertrude, and Carol was from John's mother, dad, and sister. I'm sure it must have been nice for Pop to see Kathy Jane. John and I thought she was so good at Christmas time. I must write to Grandma. John's grandmother fell downstairs and is in the hospital too. Don't be upset about the fridge. It's better that one of her own children, even Daddy, organized something like that. You, if you want to do something for Grandma, figure out something you can manage financially by yourself. And you must realize that Bud needs independence more than anything else right now. Once he achieves it, he'll be much happier, but you can only help him by being understanding when he wants to be confiding. The majority of children growing up find home atmosphere tiring, and it's the most natural thing in the world to break loose. It makes me unhappy to think that you don't realize that and are only causing conflict. It's the most exasperating thing to be treated like a child when you're going through that period between adolescence and adulthood. And conversely, Bud shouldn't blame his own inner conflicts on home. Thank Daddy for the advice. I still feel the things I wrote needed to be said, for I wanted you to realize some of the things I've had to do, and only work would have accomplished. I can relax now. I'll write again. Love, Ruth. P.S. We looked at some lovely new apartments. $100 a month. Too much, I think. But John wants something nice. F.R.S. 2457 Kenilworth Road, Cleveland Heights, Ohio, June 23rd, 1950. Dearest Mother, Daddy, and Bud, I just know my last letter must have been terrible, but I knew I should write and just couldn't write again, knowing it would probably be worse. I am sorry. I realize you'd be looking for a word, and the operation, I believe, was successful, but it really knocked the tar out of Ruthie. I couldn't make it to school Tuesday as I'd planned. I got up but could hardly move. You see, the night of the operation it dropped from the 90s to the 30s and 40s in temperature, and I must have caught cold, although it didn't develop until after the operation. So I've been fighting it too, and then I guess the nervous tension of the past few weeks. Sometimes I think I shouldn't have started summer school, for we had a test this morning. Recognition of instruments from their sounds. I'm not too keen. Then now the weather is hot again, which isn't much incentive for studying. We're going to the ball game tonight to see the Cleveland Indians, which should be relaxing. I had a nice letter from Connie, so I must write. I also heard from the Saskatchewan Health Department outlining the marriage requirements as you had them. Thanks, dear. I'll probably come home a week or so ahead, but we'll see. Yes, I'd like Dorothy Everett to sing. I've been trying to talk Betty into coming. Kidding, of course. She's back for the summer. Was my roommate last summer and a swell kid. She goes out with Bill. Last night I was over there studying while John played golf. Bill said, "You know, I just can't imagine you a married woman. You don't seem married. You just seem like Ruth. Imagine being a Mrs. Smallshaw." It was so funny, and quite a few moments before he saw the mistake. Incidentally, when Gloria and Dave were married, Frances introduced them as Mr. and Mrs. Chambers, Gloria's maiden name, much to Dave's annoyance. Well, honey, I do feel somewhat better, but still sort of played out in spite of the fact I get 10 to 11 hours sleep. My eye color is almost back to normal. The doctor is so nice. He said, "It looks like I socked you one." I apologized for owing so much during the operation. He laughed and said, "Oh, you mean it was just so much conversation?" I still have no idea what to wear or what time of day to have it. You look best in blue. I'll look downtown when I feel better to see if there's anything you might look nice in. I'm afraid my face will still be fairly scarred for a white dress, but we'll see. I was thinking of looking for something in a pale blue, maybe long or maybe just a suit. I've no strong feelings about it. I just love to talk to Bud before his trip, but we'll see him after. I have to write, or rather give, an oral report on a composer. I think I may give a biography on Ravel. He wrote Bolero and Daphne and Chloe. The courses are really interesting, except I'll probably get C's. I still only know about 4 of my exams. 2 B's and 2 A's, which John thinks good, particularly under the circumstances. Well, we must make the opening pitch. I love you, Ruthie. P.S. I miss my kitties already. Love, Ruth. 2457 Kenilworth Road, Cleveland Heights, Ohio, June 28, 1950. Dearest Mother, Daddy, and Bud, this is just a note so you'll know I'm beginning to feel better. I guess the 10 o'clock bedtime is beginning to work. I'm getting over my cold to some extent, too. I got your nice letter today and one from Gloria and Dave wondering how I'm coming. I suddenly feel so guilty not answering all the nice notes I've had. Gloria and Dave were transferred to Chicago, so we may see them some more, which will be nice. I have another test tomorrow. He's testing us on Mozart's G minor Symphony No. 40, recognition of the 4 movements, recognition of themes and time signatures and tempo of the different parts. I can listen for hours and still find recognition difficult. I only hope I pass these courses. They're quite out of my depth. We are apartment hunting and have found several possibilities. I think they like the fact that we're both employed and both going to night school, for we've been offered a couple of apartments when we know people ahead of us had wanted them. I hope our luck holds out until we find just what we wanted. John has been so good writing letters and phoning. I'll enclose a snap taken a week before the accident, in Cincinnati, visiting Gloria and Dave, or was it 2 weeks before? Well, I had my stitches out, and the cheek really looks 100% better. I'm sure in time it will be fine. I've been practicing the piano and believe it's helping my little finger, although it still has no sensation. I'm a pretty lucky girl all round. Last night, Bill said, "Boy, I never thought I'd see that cheek look so well. I took 2 looks at it at the accident and couldn't look any more." I don't go back to the doctor until fall, when he'll see what else he might do to the bridge of my nose. However, it too is coming along fine. It'll be nice to see you all, and I'm glad you want us to come. John thinks it's more correct for us to be married in Regina. I'll probably come home a week or so early so I can rest up after the trip and have a few little talks with you and Buddy. He'll have his trip on his mind then too. Nice to hear about Houghton. Bye now. I love you, Ruthie. Western Reserve University, Cleveland, Ohio, July 13th, 1950. Hi, Mother dear. I'm writing this at school, and I'm so sorry I didn't drop Bud a line before he left. You'll probably get this Saturday, and he may leave early Saturday morning. I'm sure he'll have a great trip and only wish John and I had time to go to California too, but maybe another year. We're still apartment hunting, and I am weary of it. Tonight we find out if we get the one we want. I hope we do. My rent is due today, so I'd like to move out now and have been seriously thinking of moving back into the co-op until I find an apartment, which should be soon. However, in your letter yesterday, you said Aunt Elsie would be coming, and I'd hate to be at the co-op if she had free time to come up, because the apartment is much nicer. However, I may anyway. I was sorry about the cake. I guess I should have written Aunt Ethel. I was always under the impression that those cakes were better when they were made earlier. Maybe I'm wrong. I like square best. You know my modern tendencies. It was so nice of Connie to see you. I've not heard from Marion recently, but knew they'd planned to go to Edmonton the first 2 weeks of July. As yet, I've only bought one thing for my trousseau, a pair of ice blue corduroy shorts, cute, but I can't march down the aisle in them. I'm in the process of choosing a bathing suit too, but that wouldn't do either. I'll look for a dress. I think long and maybe a very pale shade of blue. Maybe Marion and Connie could wear pale yellow or pink. Does that sound corny? Tell me any other suggestions. The invitations must be out 3 weeks in advance, so guess we should mail them about the 25th from home. So will Daddy send me some to print and paper styles, or shall we go ahead here? About 200 people at St. Peter's? There should be little cards inside for reception at home. What about announcements? In the same style? My face is coming along so well. I had my glasses checked, and of all surprises, I don't need them changed after 4.5 years and a lot of reading. I'm trying to get new frames as they're broken. John's paid the hospital bills. I'm making boat reservations for Saturday the 26th, coming back on the lakes in a deluxe cabin. John's getting an extra few days after the 2 weeks. I'm getting plane reservations to Minneapolis for the first week in August, so we'll be home about the 10th, I think. I had a test today and exam the day before. Not too bad. Lots of love, Ruthie. To be continued. Well, that concludes today's presentation. Good luck to you with your efforts in family history. If this interests you, finding, preserving, and sharing old letters, diaries, and photographs, and interviewing elderly relatives while they're alive, you might consider checking out our website, Adventures in History with Peter J. Ray, at peterjray.com. You also might consider checking out our podcast, which Adventures in History, available on Spotify, Breakers, Google Podcasts, and Radio Public. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care. Merry Christmas. And I'll see you next time.